Welcome back. The model has made its picks for UFC Fight Night, Cannonier versus Borralho, and our bets are placed. It's been an expensive week, so let's see where our money went. Starting off the card, we have the undefeated newcomer Wang fighting Victoria Leonardo. Leonardo has had 4 fights in the UFC and lost 3 of them, all by KO TKO. Wang came into MMA with a kickboxing background where she was able to beat Valentina Shevchenko. This was only a couple of months before Valentina made her UFC debut. At the books, Kong is a huge minus 1100 favorite, but our model is giving her a much smaller edge. We are just hoping that she isn't going to be stunned by the bright lights. Luckily, this card is in the apex. Our next women's bout is at bantamweight between Josiane Nunes and Jacqueline Cavalcanti. Jacqueline is coming in 4 years younger and just days before her birthday. She also has 6 inches in height and 3 inches in reach. Nunes lost her most recent bout, ending a 9-fight win streak, while Cavalcanti is on a 4-fight run. Both of these women have KO, TKOs on their record, but it has been nearly all decisions in the UFC. The bookmakers have Jacqueline as a small favorite here, and the model is similar. We're looking for Jacqueline to get the nod from the judges here and keep her winning streak alive. Leading off the men's fights, we'll see Jose Medina face off against Reese. Both of these guys are 4-1 in their last 5, with Jose taking a loss in his last fight on the Contender Series. Reese has 1 win since his only professional loss, which came in his UFC debut. Medina will be moving back down to middleweight for the first time since 2019, but I'm not sure why. All but his most recent loss have been at 185 pounds. At the books, Zach is a big favorite, and fortunately, our model also favors him in this fight. Even though his loss was to Cody Brundage, we'll just attribute that to octagon jitters or something. Down at lightweight, we've got Vyacheslav Borshchev versus James Llontop. Both of these guys are off of the Contender Series, with James taking 1 loss since then, and Borshchev going 2-3 with 1 draw. James is the much younger fighter here, and he has quite a few more fights, but he is just coming up from the regional scene. The bettors have continued to move this line in favor of Borshchev, but our model likes Llontop in this matchup. Hopefully he'll recover from his recent loss and bring home our first underdog play of the night. Closing out the prelims, we have Dennis Buzukja against Francis Marshall at featherweight. Both are 3-2 in their last 5, with Marshall on a 2-fight losing streak. Dennis also lost 2 in a row, but has since scored a victory. Francis is taking this fight on short notice after more than a year away from the cage. Despite this, both the books and the model see him as the favorite. He has lost his last 2 visits to the Apex, but we expect him to break that trend on Saturday. Kicking off the main card will be Edmund Shahbazyan and Gerald Meerschaert. Both of these guys are just better than 50-50 in the UFC, with Edmund having a record of 6-4, while Gerald is sitting at 11-9. All but one of Meerschaert's UFC victories came by submission, while Edmund has never been subbed. Gerald has far and away more professional fights, with his losses equaling Shahbazyan's total fight count. The bookies have Edmund as a moderate favorite, and the model is in the same range. Luckily, Edmund won't have to worry about his head movement now that he's changed camps. Next up, we have the undefeated Michael Morales fighting a true UFC vet, Neil Magny. Neil has 32 fights in the octagon, while Michael will only be making his 5th walk. Magny is substantially older, but does have the advantage in both height and reach. Morales does favor the KO finish, but Magny is hard to put away and hasn't been TKO'd in 6 years. Bettors absolutely smashed Morales at the books, and our model also thinks he will win. Magny has traded wins and losses consistently for the past 7 fights. The logic follows that since he won his most recent fight, he must lose this one. Easy money. The feature bout is between 2 UFC newcomers, Ryan Loder and Robert Valentin. Robert is a bit younger, but neither of them are particularly old for the middleweight division. All of their other stats are similar. I can't really find anything interesting here, and honestly, I have no idea why the UFC would have called up these 2 guys. Valentin is a favorite at the books, and the model found some value in him also. Does anybody know if these guys came up from looking for a fight, or where'd they come from? The co-main is Angela Hill fighting Tabitha Ricci for a spot in the top 10 at strawweight. Wow, I did not realize that Angela is almost 40 years old. Despite her age, she is 4-1 in her last 5 and has seemingly turned her career around. Ricci is also 4-1 in her last 5, only losing a split decision. The books favor Angela here very slightly, but the model believes Ricci is to be the best bet. I like Angela and hate to see her lose, but at this point we almost have to call her Smilin' Angela Hill. Finally, the main event between Jared Cannonier and Caio Borralho. Again, we have a matchup with a massive age gap, Jared being almost 10 years older. He's coming back from a TKO loss only 77 days ago, but that stoppage was questionable. Caio has a record of 16-1, with his only loss being in 2015. He has climbed the middleweight rankings quickly, and the book odds indicate that he will be in the top 10 after Saturday. The model is right in line here. He is a fighting nerd, and those guys have been on fire lately. That's it for the fights. Now let's see where the money is at. It's a small card this week, but we were able to get predictions for all 10 fights. For the first time in a while, we are seeing primarily favorites with only 2 underdog picks, which includes Ricci at -107. Big favorites equal big risk, so we have 38.42 units on the line. With a perfect night, our profit would be 10.9 units, or about a 28% ROI. As a quick aside, I took a look into betting large book favorites, and we are overwhelmingly positive. Betting Kong Wang for 11 units is a scary proposition, but all of my data tells me that it is profitable in the long run. There's still much more research to be done here, so expect future updates. As always, thank you for watching. Check out PFL Week 9 predictions if you haven't already, and good luck this weekend.